Okay.
We're in?
We should be in.
I'm eating popcorn. Until I'm done this, it's just going to be interrupting.
It's a mukbang, really, if we're being honest, perfectly honest.
Yeah.
We're going to take these opening seconds to make sure that we're actually live. And
you can watch me
everything's
chew
working.
popcorn.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
We're live.
We're live.
So...
What do you want to talk about today, Tyler?
Yeah, what are we going to talk about? Is this article that we have open on the screen? Who's heard of Mr. Jussie Smollett? You know, I feel
as Chappelle called him, Juicy.
Juicy.
Hilarious.
Smollett.
Juicy Smollett.
Freaking ads are still popping up. We've been in this browser for like 20 minutes now, and they're still coming up with pop-ups for us. And it won't close, but...
Womp. Womp.
So,
wah, 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 wah.
Why don't you break down the
juiciness?
What happened? What happened? What happened with Jussie
Mr.
Smollett? Why does everybody know the name Jussie Smollett?
Because Mr. Juicy of the Empire, which I've never watched before, decided he was going to try and create a little stir, a little hate crime against himself. Hired a couple dingbags to attack him. Oop, I just spit. Don't eat any of this popcorn. It's all mine now. I spit in it.
Claiming ownership, are you?
Yeah. And they tried to say they were MAGAs and all this shit. And
this is MAGA country.
Yeah, right. And so and then he was found to have completely bullshitted about it, and it all backfired in his face. Now he's on trial.
Yeah.
Little thumb up.
Pretty much came out right away that he made the whole thing up. And this was years ago.
Yeah, what was it, 2018 or something?
In 2019, it looks
19?
like January 29th, 2019, so kind of right on the border of 2018, 2019.
There you go.
And, what we have up on the screen here shows, it's talking about some evidence and some of the claims that he was saying. I guess that they uncovered a surveillance video footage of them doing a dry run of the attack. Which
you gotta practice.
You gotta practice. You gotta get it right. Even though, that's right. He did point out the security or the surveillance camera to the Ozendire brothers, who are the alleged attackers. And I believe his defense. Yeah, it says right here, his defense is claiming that no, he was actually attacked by the Ozendire brothers.
Oh, of course he was.
who he knew, and who I guess text messages.
Yeah, they were trying to say these guys are homophobic. That they were saying some shit, like I don't know. They were trying to say that these guys were saying like homophobic stuff, and they knew he was gay.
Crazy. Yeah, apparently the text message says, "Brother, I love you. I stand with you. I know 10,000% you and your brother did nothing wrong and never would."
Mm-hmm.
This is apparently a text message from Jussie Smollett to one of the Ozendire brothers. Sorry,
did you say Jussie or Juicy?
Juicy Smollett. I guess that's his real name. That's hilarious.
Yeah, but okay, so today, I just read this real quick before we got on. While I was doing the dishes, I read something. I do that, by the way. I do dishes. These are the ones I make. The dishes I make. Anyways, I'll stop eating this just while I speak. So apparently the defense of Juicy, they're trying to get a mistrial. Obviously, when you're trying to get a mistrial in your defense, you know it's because you're going to lose. So they were saying that I guess they were questioning one of those brothers, and they're going off on a tangent, whatever. And the judge kind of stopped them and said, "Look, this is off on a different tangent, whatever." And he called a sidebar type thing, and I guess sometime in the sidebar he stood up. So the female defense attorney said that he lunged at her. It's just ridiculous at this point. It's like anything they can do to just to get this trial
like
thrown
a show.
out. Yeah, oh yeah. It's come on, man. Like it's the same as the Rittenhouse thing. It's like, come on, man. Why are you taking this kind of trial on? It's a payday, I guess, but
Yeah, I mean, at least in that instance, you did have dead people, so at least do go through the justice system. But yeah, it was ridiculous that it ever even got as far as it did, and then this, holy crap!
No, I don't mean the fact that he was put on trial. Of course, I agree. He should have 100%.
But you're talking about more the actions of the prosecutor.
Jeez, I need to stop spinning.
Hey, keep your shit in your mouth, all right?
I'm gonna attack you, man.
Keep it to yourself.
Listen, I'm getting excited. I'm eating.
Uh-huh.
I'm filling up my my wisdom teeth holes.
Yeah, you gotta fill them right up. Well, you can save that stuff for later,
Yeah. Anyways, but no, with the with that case, with the Rittenhouse case, it was just what the prosecutor their whole line that I find laughable, right? It's in this case, it's the same thing, right? You find they're trying to get a mistrial by accusing a judge of lunging at you, like what he lunged through the whatever you call it, the desk or whatever they sitting behind.
You don't know what this judge is capable of. All
It's
right?
true.
You don't know.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's the Me Too movement there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the
Attacked by a
judge,
judge.
was undressing her in his mind, and that is a violation of civil law, and that justifies throwing out the trial.
Yeah, for sure. I think they should. They should throw it out.
Yep. Throw it out.
Throw Juicy out with it.
Yeah, just throw him out.
Who gives a shit about this guy?
Put him in jail.
Is he still on TV? Is he still in that show or anything?
You know what? I don't know. I think he got fired from the show at first when it came out, but I think he might have. They might have given him his job back. Like shortly after, kind of like as the dust settled, everybody forgot.
He's marginalized.
Some new controversy in the media, and I think they might have given him his job back. I don't know at the moment though. I mean, maybe once a criminal sort of investigation started, maybe they got rid of him again. I don't know.
I feel like Juicy will do okay.
He's rich.
Is he rich?
Yeah, he was making a lot of money on that show.
Oh,
I mean, he paid these guys like I think tens of thousands of dollars to do this.
I mean, he's rich.
Yeah.
Could just be semi-wealthy. But these guys seem to go through their money.
Well, okay, yeah,
pretty
that's
quick,
true.
right?
If they don't know what they're doing with it, a couple $1,000,000, if you know what you're doing with it, that you can live the rest of your life quite comfortably. But yeah, if you're just kind of stumbled into wealth and you got this high-paying actor job, maybe you just start. That's what Joe Rogan did.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, he talks about this, how he started making a bunch of money and he started spending it like he would make that much money
Like
for
it
the
was
rest
never
of
ending,
his
yeah.
life.
Yep.
And I mean, he was right. But
Worked out.
But if it didn't, yeah, he would have really shot himself in the foot there.
That's what these athletes do, right? Especially
Yeah.
football players. You look at
Yeah.
like
So-
running backs, like a star running back. These guys, somebody needs to sit them down and say, look, listen. Like, okay, for example, you don't really watch football, but
No.
Christian McCaffrey just got injured again, second time this season.
Okay.
He injured his hamstring first. This guy's 25. He's right around your age. He's 25. He's a stud. Complete stud. But he's glass. He gets injured all the time. He's probably got, like, a typical running back, like a good running back, probably has maybe 8 to 10 years in the league. And that's like, and that's not even like pinnacle years. Like their pinnacle years is probably like 3 to 4, right? Of where they're premier backs, and then after that they start to drop off a little or whatever.
Right.
Right?
That's
But
when they're getting their
basically,
contracts.
yeah, 8 to 10 years of a good career for a running back. This guy's probably done. Like realistically, if he can't keep healthy, the guy played like 3 or 4 games this year. I think four games or something, maybe 5. I don't know. But he can't stay healthy. Who's gonna bank on a guy like that? But these guys get used to that money, and nobody talked to them. Nobody told them, "Hey, look."
I do think they have people that come and sit you down. That sit down with a lot of the rookies in professional sports now. But that doesn't mean that they listen.
Rookie contracts suck, by the way. Though.
Suck.
Well,
You're
depending
making,
like baseball. In baseball, they're garbage.
I know in the NHL you're making like I forget what it is, but it's like mid 100,000,
Yeah,
which is a good amount of money.
I know, but I mean,
when you're a rookie,
but you got to look at like projected future earnings, right? So if you got a rookie,
oh yeah,
who's a stud,
yeah,
he's getting paid that in his rookie years. He's still putting himself at risk,
right. But also those players that are the studs, they make money elsewhere.
Yeah,
They get the
endorsements and stuff like
and,
that. Yeah,
and they get the advertisements, and then they get their contract, right? Look at Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, they probably made a ton of money in their first 2 seasons, right? Because that's what it is. You get 2 seasons, that's your initial contract, and then it's your contract year.
Yeah,
they probably made a ton of money just being the guys, right? The new face of the Leafs. And all the especially given the scale of the Toronto Maple Leafs, right? They probably made so much money just from sponsorships. Ads,
Toronto Maple Leafs are a very rich team.
Yeah, they're the wealthiest team in the league. If there was no cap, they win the cup every year.
They win the cup every year.
Yeah, but it's you make that much money for a couple years, you do what you're not, and you focus on playing, and then your contract year comes around. And they get what is it, 11 million and 11.5 million each.
Something like that, yeah.
You know.
But I mean, what I'm saying though is the risk is there in the 2 years when you're a rookie. Mm-hmm. You get injured, you have a career-ending injury, you're done.
Yeah, I do think that there are.
And you didn't get any money.
No, I think you do get.
What I'm saying though,
you didn't
get any money. Like you didn't get any real money.
No, you didn't get any real money. But I do think the league has, maybe not every league. I do think that in the NHL specifically, hockey's my thing. That would be the only sport that I know really anything about. That's why I reference the NHL all the time. Mm-hmm. But they, I don't think I think they probably have sort of
like insurance or something,
things issued into the contracts where if they get injured and that ends their career, they get like a pension or something from the league. It might not be a lot, but it might take care of them.
What's a pension? You mean like a pension's not going to be? It's not going to be a lot.
They'll probably make enough money to live off.
Well, when you think about it, though, okay, so like somebody like an Ovechkin, right? Over his career, what's he made in the NHL, right? 100 and something million over his career.
Like just his contracts, or
that's what I'm saying,
or in total, because he could easily be a billionaire right now.
Well, I'm saying, but just in his contracts, right?
Yeah, probably.
So like that's what I'm talking about. Those kind of future type earnings, right?
Yeah.
Like so you.
But I mean, you have to perform though to get that money. Like you have to be Alex Ovechkin to get that kind of money. You get hurt, you're not. That's a part of it. You can't be made of glass.
What about a Juicy Smollett? I mean, you're performing. He's performing, man. He's
an actor.
He's worth his money. He's worth his weight, man. He's worth his weight.
What he earns, I mean, possibly.
He's worth his weight, man. I'm just saying. Look, Juicy. I'm a big Juicy fan.
You're a Juicy fan.
I'm a big Juicy fan.
You just start.
Before it was Juicy Smollett, I was in the Juicy Couture.
Fan.
I was in the Juicy.
Boy.
I was in the Juicy Couture before. Before Juicy Smollett.
You do have Juicy Smollett on your wall, don't you? Looking over you as you sleep.
Yeah, on my ceiling, so I can look straight up at him.
So when you wake up, he's the first thing that
into his dreamy eyes.
Yeah.
This is not even the worst case that's out right now.
Should
we talk about
the forbidden trial
one
that you're not
the one
allowed.
That you don't even hear about, that nobody even knows is going on? Because there's too many presidents linked in with this.
All the presidents.
Past presidents.
He who did not kill himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Epstein stuff is crazy. Mm-hmm. Because they're not talking about it. Which, I don't know, maybe that's normal for these federal trials. But
apparently it's normal.
Do you hear the stuff that kind of happened around it? There's like this billionaire. I don't know who it was exactly. I don't remember, but there was this billionaire, I guess, that their yacht sort of pulled up to where the trial was happening, sort of in the weeks beforehand.
I didn't hear about this.
You have the judge proceeding or doing, what's it called? They're presiding over the trial. The judge is
presiding.
He was recommended to a higher court. Basically, he was put up for a promotion.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of things sort of
By the Biden administration, or
I don't know if it's necessarily the Biden administration. Like, we're talking people that have fingers in fucking everything, right? The number of people and connections that.
Well, yeah, Biden's asshole is a puppet hole.
It could easily be. Joe Biden doesn't even have to have anything to do with it. It could be the Clintons, right? It could be the Clintons doing this stuff.
Obama's.
It could be like the CIA, the deep state. You know. Mm-hmm. That could be what the whole thing is about: is getting dirt on people so that they play ball.
Yep. The military-industrial complex. That's what it is, man. That's what's governed. That's what governs everything. Which is just a whole series of elites, if you will.
Yeah, which is weird, but it.
Anybody who thinks that's a conspiracy theory, at this point,
it is a conspiracy theory.
What's that?
It is a conspiracy. It is a theory about these people conspiring.
No, what I'm saying though is anybody who thinks that that's a conspiracy theory at this point and is not something that's 100% true, you gotta have your head in the sand at this point. You can't think that big business and people like Bezos and Bill Gates and stuff like that don't pull strings. Oh, yeah. Like anybody who thinks that doesn't happen is come on, man. Like you're either an optimist or you're
you got your head in the sand at that point. Like
some people are just eternal optimists. Some people just think they believe people for face value. So they're like, Biden's running the show, but some people, some people just have their head in the sand.
You really think that meat puppet is doing anything he doesn't?
Well, that was the whole thing.
Half the time, you know.
That was the whole thing. That was the whole thing when Trump was in, right? It was like, I'm not saying Trump wasn't. He didn't have his own team of people that kind of pulled the strings a little, right?
No, he wasn't in control.
What I'm saying though is, I think the
government was lying to him.
Yeah, what I think, I think the thing about Trump though is, I think that he was more. What's the word I'm looking for? He wasn't as entrenched in that deep state bullshit. Like I don't think he was.
He was. I think the whole reason that the media went after him the way that they did is because he was an outsider. He isn't involved in the deep state, and that's why the government. That's why he was being lied to about troops in the Middle East, right?
Yeah.
They were lying to him about that because they don't want him to pull out or to do what to enact his agenda and sort of reducing America's presence in the Middle East. They want to maybe increase it or to maintain or to do other things, and so they have to lie to him because technically he has the power, right? They can't just take the power away because that's too overt. Mm-hmm. But they can subvert it by lying. And, I think it was Fauci, what he did with the gain of function research, right? Mm-hmm. That was the Obama administration ended that.
2014.
And then, sort of under Trump's nose, he went ahead and reenacted it, but kind of behind the scenes, kind of sneakily. And then...
Can you imagine if this trial, this Ghislaine Maxwell trial was going on when Trump was president? What would have happened? Because he has some link up to it, right? Like he's linked to the Epsteins in some way. I mean, I don't know.
Really, not in a bad way.
No, he was actually like he's been photographed with them, and he was at different events and stuff with them and stuff. I'm not saying, listen,
the last time,
I don't know what was going on.
The last time Trump and Epstein were ever
it was like 2008 or something.
Yeah, but he kicked him out of one of his Mar-a-Lago or something.
Yeah,
because Epstein was being inappropriate with one of his staffers, right? Mm-hmm. That is a bit of a vindicating thing that sort of shows, okay, any relationship that they had was probably exclusively business related. Maybe Epstein tried to coerce him into some stuff, and he.
What I'm saying though is because there's like.
It would be all over the media.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. It would have been crazy, right? Like
you have Bill Clinton who flew on the plane like some insane number of times, and no one's talking about it. Yeah. And Trump, who probably never flew on the plane, and was really only around Epstein at big gatherings where someone like Trump is going to be at. You got a super wealthy superstar of a guy. You know, everybody knows his name. He's super famous, and he's going to be there.
Listen, I'm not a Trumper.
They're going to be seen together.
I'm not a Trumper. I'm not necessarily a Trump supporter. I'm just I'm kind of in the middle. I basically don't have any dogs in the race, but I think Trump's a couple different things. I think he's probably he's like a typical old man where he's kind of like a bit of a chauvinist, that kind of stuff. You know, he's talking about grabbing pussies and stuff like that. Yeah, you know, that's like dude conversation when you don't know cameras are on and stuff, and you're shooting the shit with a bro or something. Yeah, you say some shit that's off cuff. But I don't think he's in any way a pedophile or anything like that. I don't see any evidence that would show that in his actions or anything like that. So not that I think necessarily Clinton would be either, but you know, he's around. He was around that.
Clinton.
I'm just saying.
There's so many photos of him being like weird.
No. Listen,
to people.
Hold on.
Touching
Listen.
people.
That would be Biden. Biden looks weird. If
Biden has that too. I mean, Bill Clinton quite literally got left office in shame because he.
If a bunch of information came out about Biden linked up somehow, I'd be like, oh, that doesn't really surprise me with all the hair sniffing and all that bullshit he's into. But I mean, Clinton again to me just seems like another guy that was just horny. He just would have taken opportunities with women when he got opportunities with women. Like, look at his wife. Like, let's be real. She's a dumpster fire. Like
now.
Well, I guess she was all right looking back in the day, but
they're like
she's
1,000 years old.
And
now.
I'm not even talking about like her looks wise. I'm just she just seems like she's gotta be just fucking insufferable. Like imagine conversations with her.
I know.
Like it would just be like
I wouldn't want to.
Oh, a real hot night would be probably like playing Scrabble or something. Let's play Scrabble. Remember last time you got 342 and I got 343 and I beat you.
Yeah.
Remember that? That was pretty exciting.
And
then we had some really intense coitus for 2 minutes where you rode on top of me like a stallion and then you ejaculated inside of me. It was amazing.
I feel like we just entered the Clinton's mindset.
That's what I'm saying. It would have been like I'm sure being with her was fuck ton boring. Number one.
Probably. I think that their relationship might have been out of convenience.
Like
power.
Like Jazane and thing or like Bill Gates and Melinda Gates. They were like that too. If you read up their relationship, it was basically they were like partners. And then they just I don't know why they split. I'm not sure if that was something they were doing to protect either their fortune. Or it just feels weird, the timing.
Didn't they split around the time that the Epstein thing broke?
Yeah.
So it could.
So
be
I have a feeling it has something to
or
do
her
with that.
discovering something that she didn't necessarily know about.
It could be. But she was into him. Like,
no, that's not
being
the
with
same.
other women.
That's
and
not
stuff.
the same. Well, there are conspiracies about.
He had like a fucking
the
like.
Gates.
Well, he had a relationship with one of his exes. Like they would go away all the time, like at least once a year or something. Him and this one ex of his, and Melinda knew about it. And she was apparently okay with this.
Oh, maybe.
Like, so it seems like they had like a relationship of convenience.
Right, or you have. Yeah, she doesn't necessarily. She likes the lifestyle, right?
That's what I'm saying.
She'll let him get away with it.
But it screams the same as those other two.
No, that's
right?
different. Like the Clintons thing is like power. Like, it's possible that they met each other at where were they? They were like Harvard or something.
Yeah, they met in university.
You know how dynasties work, right?
Well,
like it's entirely possible that Bill Clinton was kind of set on motion to become president a long time before, and then they met.
Have you seen House of Cards?
I haven't seen it.
I think that's loosely based on the Clintons.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure that's
it's probably like somebody who knows stuff just telling us what's going on, and then and then just masking it as hit TV
show. Yeah,
it's like, oh no, this is fiction. It's not fiction. This is what they do. Which
based on the Clintons.
They're weird stuff. I mean, there's the Hillary Clinton death list or something like that.
I heard something about that. Is that real?
There's a list of people who have died in mysterious ways, who who were related to, who were like involved with the Clintons, or who had said some things about the Clintons. Like, I forget the guy's name. I think it's the guy that leaked some stuff to WikiLeaks, maybe. I forget his name, but his car drove into a tree at like 150 miles an hour, and that's how he died.
That's not Assange, or that's not him.
No, that's not. No,
he's
alive.
Yeah, he's alive.
They're
Assange,
torturing him.
Yeah. They're torturing him.
No, this guy. Assange was WikiLeaks. This guy might have been the guy that leaked some stuff to them.
Okay.
Or was saying some things. I'm not certain.
Sounds very conspiracy.
He might have leaked some information about her servers or something.
That sounds very conspiracy theorist.
And
you conspiracy theorist.
Well, yeah. I think human beings conspire. Yeah. Look. I think that the dumbest people in the world are the people that can use the term conspiracy theory.
Are you taking me literal right
now? No, I'm making a point.
I was going to say.
No, I'm making a point. Because I think that the dumbest people in the world are the people who take the term conspiracy theory as a synonym for false, incorrect, crazy, not true.
When you say dumb, you mean gullible.
No, I mean like genuinely stupid. I mean like the kind of people who get their heads stuck in like a fucking washing machine or something.
Yeah, but you know what? Then, but you're really encompassing a lot of the population by saying that. I don't think they're. I don't think it's. I think your NPC comment is better. It doesn't mean they're dumb. I don't think they're dumb. They're just programmed to not question shit.
They don't have a mind.
Doesn't mean they're dumb. Just means that
they don't have a mind.
Means they're kind of like obtuse. They're just like.
I think there are plenty of people with minds who are completely...
Listen, I know people that are quite intelligent, but just do not want to have in-depth discussions about stuff that they can't
that to me
control or
sounds
change.
Like the opposite of intelligent.
No,
I know smart people who don't know a lot of things and don't like to think too much.
No, it's not that.
It's
not that. It's not that though. Basically what it is they don't have interest in it. So they don't want to put any thought process into it, and they don't have any control or anything. So really, all we're doing, like right now, by talking about this kind of stuff, is spinning our wheels, right? Because we're not changing anything, we're not doing anything, we're not. So some people see that as futile, right? Some people go talking about stuff that I don't have any control over, I can't change, I can't affect in any way. I don't really want to spend time doing that, and I don't think that's stupid. I just think that's a different. That's just somebody's mind that goes like I don't see. I don't
think it's the same to just not want to have the conversation than to just write off the stuff.
It's not that they're writing it off necessarily.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying.
Some people do.
What I'm saying are the stupid people. Okay, the people who are writing it off, who consider what you would call a conspiracy theory to be false. Or synonymous with false or crazy or
then I would say that's a very small subset.
It's a completely different thing to be like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation than to say, oh, that's crazy, that's not true, Or,
yeah, okay.
I mean, to say, oh, that's crazy, that's not true, that's one thing, but to like actually discount
But some people do that as a way to stop the conversation. Because they don't want to have that conversation.
Yeah, that's just wrong.
Well, I agree with you. Because obviously you and I agree about we like to talk about shit like this.
Oh yeah.
But I've had conversations with people that I know are intelligent people, and they don't want to have these kinds of conversations.
Right.
And I don't think they're not intelligent because they don't want to have the conversation. It irritates me a little because I'm like, hey, let's do all the things you want to do then. But I just accept it, right?
Yeah. But again, that's not the people I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I'm talking to people that write everything off as the caricature of Alex Jones. If
speaking of one of the type of person that loves to talk about this kind of stuff, my buddy just texted me. He'd love to talk about this kind of shit. Yeah.
Well, I would say the caricature of Alex Jones is something that is. If you think that's real, basically. Like, I mean, there are people that fit that caricature, I think, to some degree.
Yeah.
But I don't it certainly Alex Jones certainly doesn't fit that character.
Alex Jones, the problem with him is he's off-putting. He's because
I don't agree, but that's because
you like him, but I'm saying, but he's off-putting to people that
if you're used to getting your information from like a fucking
no, but hold on,
and then you get Alex Jones waving his fist in the air.
There's me, and he's a little off-putting for me even, just because for all the shit that he says that has credibility, and even the stuff.
Get out the list. Alex Jones was right list.
But there's a lot of stuff he says that's not credible. Look at the whole thing where he was accusing that school shooting as being a.
Okay, so the one thing.
I'm just saying, but there are other things. There are other things. That's the biggest
important.
one.
No, that's important. That's the one you go
to.
That's
the biggest one.
So it is completely. That whole story makes me like Alex Jones even more. You know why?
What's that?
Because he came out and he said, "You know what? I was wrong about that."
I know, but what I'm saying is you're not. What you're not getting is what I'm saying is it puts people off, and then they just don't want to hear him. Right, and I'm not that type of person because foolish. I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. Yeah. Right, you got to realize we live in a time where people are so what's the word I'm looking for? Polarized either way that because we have like these echo chambers online and stuff where you can just and especially like Facebook is the worst for it, right?
Yeah.
Facebook will just keep putting suggesting videos that fits your sort of what you like to watch.
Everything does that, right? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Right. But it's fear based.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what you click on most is the fear and the hatred. The stuff that's like, the people that I don't like are evil, and for this reason, you're gonna click that video and you're gonna go and you're gonna watch it and you're gonna bask in it, right? The happy-go-lucky stuff, it doesn't do the
clickbait.
same.
It's all clickbait.
So
on steroids, clickbait on steroids. At this point.
Well, it's not even.
Like it used to be clickbait, but now it's clickbait on steroids. Everything's like that.
It's the algorithm. It's just trying to get clicks. So it's putting it's putting out the stuff that you are psychologically likely to do, which is fear and hate. Yeah. Which I think is why we're in such a crazy time.
Oh yeah, for sure. Sure.
I was in the convenience store yesterday, and I can't believe this asshole. This guy who was ahead of me on the counter, he goes up to.
Who's that? What's that?
I don't know. It's some fucking bot, probably. This guy goes to the counter, and he's like to the clerk, and he's like, "Oh, I got a question for you." Clerk's like, "Yeah, what's up?" He's like, "Why do you let people in here without masks?" And the guy's like, "Oh, you talk about the other day, that guy that was there?" Yeah. He's like, "Well, that guy had a medical exemption." He's like, "Oh, still, you're letting people in here without masks." And like the fucking guy's standing there shaking their head as this guy is explaining to him. He was in here for like 10 minutes, man, and he had a medical exemption. It's like, what? Man, that guy, man, if we need to round people up and put them in fucking camps, it's people like that. I swear to God. I swear to God, those people are so fucked in the head.
Well, the thing is now, it's like I was having this conversation the other day about it, like this whole woke culture and all this kind of stuff. This pandemic, I'll say it in quotations because I don't believe it's a pandemic. I just believe it's whatever. It's I don't believe it's fake. I just believe the term pandemic is a little bit of an exaggeration. But this whole pandemic, the time that it's happened, it's like a clusterfuck of perfect for this bullshit. Because we got woke, all this woke movement. And then we've got this pandemic and that. So you got these people that are hyper fearful and shit, and they buy into all this crap. And now they feel like they're emboldened. In so many different ways. Like, oh, you're not wearing a mask? Oh, well, you're a bad person. And they feel like they're being championed.
It's the moral busybody authoritarians. Yeah. They come out. It was the same thing with the Puritan Christians when they were a thing. Mm-hmm. They could tell you, oh, you're morally wrong for I don't know, watching these kinds of movies or listening to that kind of music. Mm-hmm. And it's the same kind of person. It's just the culture has shifted, and they have a different outlet, and it's whatever they can use to grab any degree of power over somebody else, they will use and they will abuse it, and they will tell you. That you have to wear a mask, even if it doesn't do anything.
And they're being championed.
They'll get right in your face to tell you to put on a mask.
Because they're being championed by the narrative.
They feel powerful.
They feel powerful, right? They feel like everybody's behind them. But what they don't realize is...
They are in charge now.
Yeah, what they don't realize, though, is most people aren't. Most people aren't behind them. Most people just aren't saying anything.
Yeah. And they just kind of go to, okay, whatever.
Right, and that tide's going to fucking turn quick, right? And when it turns, it's going to turn on a fucking dime. And these idiots, these... Karens, if you will, these mask police and whatever you want to call them, whatever you want to call them. I love calling them Karens, the mask Karens. They're going to be like, oh my God, what happened? Our time just blew up. I think it's coming quick, man. I think we're months away. We're not years, we're months. I think by next year, sometime by like March, April, this whole thing's going to start to really, really go away. You're going to start to see masks. Like now you see everybody wearing a mask. You're going to start to see like maybe like 60% of people wearing masks. Then it's going to go down to like 40% and then like 20%. It's just going to happen fast, right? The minute those few pioneers sort of start doing it and they set the tone, people are going to follow suit. You ever see that video? I think I've talked about this before, where the one guy's dancing in a field. And then, like, all of a sudden, one person joins, and then a bunch.
It's like
then
the
it's
herd
like fucking
mentality.
the herd comes.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to happen next year. Quite honestly, I think they're trying to hold on to this bullshit with this what is it? Omicron or Omicron variant?
Omicron or something.
No, there's no N.
Omicron.
Omicron, yeah. This variant, but people,
which is milder.
Exactly. It's this.
But I see that as they're lowering the bar.
Yeah, no, but this
they're lowering the bar. They're trying to get to a point where they're going to get people to rationalize the threat of being sick at all, right? Yeah. Whether you get the cold, whether you get the flu,
people are going to do
justification to
people won't do it. They won't do it. Guarantee they won't do it. We're doing it short term because they're screaming pandemic.
They're doing it short term, but all the amount of people that are just. Like they're with it, like they're just agreeing with whatever the TV is saying about why you have to do stuff, right? Yep. Like look at the vaccination thing. Like if there's so many people who are like, oh, just get vaccinated, and there's so many people who will so openly say, I've met people like this. They will so openly say, it's because people aren't getting vaccinated or not everybody's vaccinated.
I've heard that too.
It's like no, that has nothing to do with anything.
But so I have personal friends like these are. Friends of mine that were very, very pro-masks, pro-vaccines, drinking the Kool-Aid, and they're coming around. They're starting to come around. These would be some of the last people I would have thought.
That's a good sign, and you also have a good sign with people like Bill Maher saying, I got the first 2 shots, and I'm not going to get the third.
You know what he is? I like that you brought that up. Bill Maher is kind of like I feel like he's like the. What's the word I'm looking for? He's basically the temperature gauge of the left and right, essentially. When he gets when Trump was in power, he went way left. He started going like intolerably left for me.
TDS.
Where I couldn't,
to the nth degree.
Right, but then now that Trump's not in power anymore, and he's seeing all the bullshit, he still kind of supports Biden, which is weird, but he's coming further from left back over to more centrist, right? Which is where I liked him. Like I liked him as a centrist, but I think he's kind of the gauge. I think it's funny. It's almost like you can base what general society is doing around how his opinions vary. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of with the temperature of the mob, essentially.
Right. Somewhat, yeah. You still like these people. They're being told in the media that like the what I'm about to say isn't a secret, right? It isn't a secret that the vaccine doesn't stop you from catching COVID. It doesn't stop you from spreading it.
Right.
At best, it weakens the symptoms, but it might in turn be making things worse, as we
Yep.
have the data in the UK showing that people over the age of 30 who are double vaccinated are more likely to catch COVID than people who aren't, and yet you still have these people like just touting this narrative and having this opinion that, oh well, if everybody just got vaccinated, we get like how.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you can hold that thought. And what I see is I see 1984. I see this double think. These people that they're not thinking and they're just kind of doing what they're told, which is terrifying because you have some
NPCs.
very evil people telling them
Yeah.
what to do.
The NPCs.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, a little side thing, which we should have talked
I
about
wonder
right
if
away.
I could pull up.
A little side topic that we should have thought about right away, and you might want to mark the time because you might want to put this as something that we talk about after, or that we put a little video about. Chris Cuomo got suspended from CNN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were saying that he might come back though.
Oh, I don't know.
Someone was.
I don't know,
saying
man.
that.
Maybe, but that to me looks like rivets coming out of the ship.
Yes.
He's their guy. Like he's one of their guys, right?
Yeah, he was one of the guys. Well,
He's one of their-
but
like, one of their
his
big-
brother. His brother Andrew
Yeah.
had to resign in shame.
No, I know.
As governor of New York, right?
But I'm saying, it's like if I feel like if CNN's ratings were better, then it wouldn't matter. You know what I mean? If he were doing what Tucker's doing, like Tucker
Possibly.
Carlson, Tucker Carlson's getting I think he's getting 3 million friggin' viewers or something. Like his ratings they've never been better. I think if his ratings were like that, I think he could pretty much have done anything. It wouldn't matter. I think the fact that their ratings are down so much, that's why he's also getting let go. Like they might be cannibalizing themselves, which would be amazing.
It's possible.
Stupid CNN. Clown News Network. What are we looking up? Can people see this, that you're doing this?
Not right now.
Oh, okay. Looking up zombies? What? He's looking up zombies, just so you know.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Philosophical zombies.
But this is an old concept
Right.
of the philosophical zombie, which is essentially just the original version of the NPC meme. The NPC meme is definitely a modern rehashing of the philosophical zombie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to pull up a definition to read, so I'm not fully riffing.
Do you think? Here's a thought. Here's a little turd nugget of thought. Do you think that maybe because, so back in the day, there's always been people like us, and anybody who's watching, I'm sure, that like to delve into different subjects and really broaden their horizons and discuss things that you don't have any control about, but you want to understand and such. Do you think that now, because of the internet and all that kind of stuff, that there are more people like us coming out and less people that are head in the sand, kind of just because back in the day it was like you would just go to work, you come home, you have dinner, you spend some time with the kids, whatever, right? You know what I mean? Like you had routines essentially, right?
I don't know. Okay, I think it's possible that the ratio is the same, and there's just more because there's more people.
Okay.
But okay, I'm gonna.
That makes
read,
sense.
I'm gonna.
It's not like
Pull it up.
you're saying there's not a higher percentage. It's just
Say maybe it's
more
10%.
people.
Maybe
it's more
10%
people
of the
just because the
population.
population's bigger.
Yeah. Okay. So here is the Wikipedia page for the philosophical zombie. A philosophical zombie or P-zombie argument is a thought experiment in philosophy of mind that imagines a hypothetical being that is physically identical to and indistinguishable from a normal person. This guy. But does not have conscious experience, qualia, or sentience. For example, if a philosophical zombie were poked with a sharp object, it would not inwardly feel any pain, yet it would outwardly behave exactly as if it did feel pain, including verbally expressing pain. Relatedly, a zombie world is a hypothetical world indistinguishable from our world, but in which all beings lack conscious experience. So this comes up a lot when you have there are people who can't they don't have inner they'll admit this, right? They'll say this, that they don't have like an inner monologue or dialogue. What would you call it? I would call mine a dialogue.
Like, so what do you mean? Like, so for example, for me, if I speak to myself, I always tell people my mind never shuts off.
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking about
Something.
fucking random shit. I mean, I always tell people, I'm like, I think, this is funny to say this, I think I'm borderline crazy. I think I'm like one weird action away from being crazy. But my mind controls any weird sort of thoughts to keep them as thoughts and doesn't act on them. But if you acted on one of those thoughts, like, so for example, right? If I had a thought in my brain right now, I said, what would it be like if I just punched you right in the face? No nothing. I just punched you in the face. No precursor, no fucking provocation, no nothing. You'd be like, what the fuck did you just do that for? And imagine if I just couldn't explain it. I was just like, I don't know. I just had an idea and I just did it.
I felt like
you'd be like, you're fucking crazy. I don't know, like, whatever. But
crazy is not the right word for that.
But if I have that thought and I don't act on it, am I still crazy, or am I still whatever the other word?
No, that it's to do it just to see what would happen or what it would feel like.
Yeah,
that's just being a sociopath. Like, you don't have empathy.
Right.
You can have that thought. I think everybody has those thoughts. Everybody wonders, what would happen if I did this or that, or whatever. And in that thought, should you do it, would cause harm, maybe even serious harm to people or things. And the reason you don't is because you have empathy. Right?
Sure.
Right, and that's what sociopaths lack, or psychopaths. Well, I forget the distinction between the two. I think they both. Oh, that's right. A sociopath lacks empathy. A psychopath doesn't doesn't have a concept of right or wrong. Right. So the sociopath knows, or maybe no. The sociopath, by lacking empathy, doesn't know necessarily what they're doing wrong, but the psychopath knows very well that what they're doing is wrong, and they do it anyway.
Right.
So
one's choice, one's no choice.
Yeah, and so the distinguishing there is empathy. So you think, okay, well, what would happen if I punched you in the face right now? And you can have that thought, and that's a normal thought, I think.
But if you have this conversation with people, like I've had this conversation with people before, and they go, what? They go, I don't have those kinds of thoughts. I go, so I would say them.
I would say two things. Either they're not really thinking, which is what my original point kind of alludes to, and we'll circle back to that in a second, or they're lying because they believe that they're going to be judged, and they're trying to portray themselves.
Right. And that's what I say, the exact same thing. I'm like, either you're lying and you do it, or you don't, and you're pretty fucking...
Or you don't think at all.
Yeah, you're just pretty dull of a person. If you're really not thinking about anything, like... How do you know... So, for example, how do you know to fear being stabbed, let's say, right?
Because you've been stabbed or poked.
Right.
So you can elaborate on the
that would be one way.
Expansion
of that would be one way, right?
And also you intuit that
you intuitively just assume, because maybe in your mind you've thought it out at some point.
It's not. I don't think it's about. I think that's just getting into your biological instincts is to preserve your body, not to allow it to be damaged. So you think about stabbing, and at least with a modern understanding, I feel like people going like monkeys understand this, that your body has certain functions in different parts, and so you kind of understand that if you go inside and damage something, it could be fatal. But
a baby doesn't have that.
I think it does.
No. So a baby has no reference point. So you could put a baby on this table, right? And the baby will crawl over to the edge of the table and fall off the edge of the table because it has no reference point to understand gravity.
It doesn't know anything that's happening.
But then after that, it'd be fearful of that table.
Yeah, if it falls off the table. But I think at a certain point, a lot of this stuff I think comes. That's in the development of the mind. There's a lot of things like it isn't. Well, a blank slate theory has been proven wrong in psychology, but I think there's a lot of that stuff that is just there, or it comes at a certain point. Right when you're a baby, you don't have. I don't necessarily think babies are necessarily conscious. You know, or
so you don't think
very
consciousness
aware.
doesn't come till a certain
Well, it's
age,
we'd have
maybe,
to
or-
define consciousness. But what I'm talking about when
would
I
that
say
explain
conscious,
why you can't remember?
I don't
remember anything?
necessarily think. Well, that's why babies they don't you know, object permanence.
Yeah.
You know, they don't understand that when a ball rolls behind the couch, that the ball still exists behind the couch. You know, to them it goes away. It doesn't exist anymore. Right? I think that the mind is developing over the course of, you know,
Hey, I had
25 years
I had a situation
to
like that.
develop these things.
By the way, I had a situation like that when I was 7,
Yeah.
where I burned down. We lived in a like a 50-foot trailer when we moved to a town. Long story, but anyways, I was like 7. I had chicken pox, and I was lighting fires on like paper and shit, and the wind caught a piece of paper out of my hand, blows it out of my hand, right? And I was like, that's gone.
Yeah.
It wasn't gone. It was up against this bales of hay that were actually insulating the
Right.
bottom of the trailer and started it on fire,
Jeez.
which subsequently burned most of the trailer.
Yeah. I mean, that's a little old to not.
I know.
understand
That's what I'm
object
saying, but it was funny because I
permanence,
remember
Yeah.
I'm burning it, and the wind caught it, and I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, all right, I'll just
Well,
burn.
yeah.
I'll burn something
but,
else.
But I don't think it was. I don't think it was you thinking
No, I know,
that
I'm
it
just
didn't
kidding.
exist. I think it was you just kind of thinking, "Oh, it blew away, whatever."
Yeah.
You know, whatever. Yeah. But to get back to what I was saying, you have people who will openly admit that they don't have inner monologues or dialogue. Yeah, that's what I originally asked you, and you didn't really answer. You know, would you call it a monologue or a dialogue or a dialogue? Like, do you talk to yourself in your head?
No, I don't talk to myself, but I go through exercise of different
In words?
things. Not in words, though.
Really?
No, I don't really talk to myself.
I do words, and
I
that's
do it
why I would call it.
sometimes.
That's what we'll see. So you do it.
I could say I do it sometimes. Every once in a while, I'll do it maybe,
So you
but
do it.
but not. It's not what I go to. Like
No,
it would be
there's
very
a lot
very
of different
infrequent.
things that happen inside.
But it would
the
be
mind,
very
but
infrequent for me.
There's a lot of these.
Like I don't have
like-
an inner monologue essentially. But I know what you're saying, but for me it's more I just think about stuff without actually talking, and then
I speak to myself. Well, I think in language sometimes, and I'll do it from multiple perspectives. Like I can have a conversation with you in my head where I almost it's almost like I'm breaking off, and doing my best to emulate you. And then I'm seeing,
what
from
my reactions would be,
Yeah,
from
and
what you know of me?
Yeah, I can. I do that. I'll go through thoughts and ideas sort of in language sometimes in language and
Okay.
in meaning, because sometimes sometimes you don't have the words, but you know what you mean.
I could agree with you that I do that in
And
very
so that's why I would
important
call it a
situations.
dialogue at
Yeah.
some points. Sometimes it's more of a monologue, and then other times it's more just meaning. But then also, can you visualize things in your head?
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah,
I'm
like
a visual
I can,
person. That's me.
even without closing my eyes, I can imagine, my bedroom.
Why do you think I'm good at doing this shit?
Yeah,
It's because I can visualize stuff, and then
Yeah,
I
you
tell
can
people all
see
the
what it
time.
might look
I can
like.
see what it's going to look like before it's done, and a lot of people can't do that. Like my sister, for example, we're twins, and she can't do that.
yeah.
She looks at something, she needs it to see it.
So these are things that at least I do in my head, and a lot of people claim to do in their head. But then you have people who will openly admit to some or none of them.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say it's this is crazy. People don't have inner monologues, and people don't have they don't visualize things in their head, so to speak. This is that's crazy. I think there's like a Twitter thread about that where where someone's talking about how it's like Hollywood nonsense, or woo woo that people do that, and everyone's like no.
Right.
Do you not? And then there are all these people that are saying that they don't. And then the rest of us are just like, well, that's kind of weird. And I think that to me almost is a little bit of evidence that the philosophical zombie might be a real thing to some extent, or an NBC, because I just
love
don't
NBC.
understand. I just don't understand like if I'm trying to imagine life without those things, without the ability, without the ability to, because all of that stuff that happens in your mind, that's how you sort of
Make sense of things.
well, it's how you make sense of things, but it's also how you can kind of look and see, okay, if I do that, then this is, you're looking into the future a little bit.
Sure,
You're kind of seeing, okay, this might happen. This will be the result.
I do
or
that,
whatever.
by the way, the inner monologue thing. I do that when I have to confront somebody about something. So I've done it. I do use that. So I will envision what a conversation with
that'd be
you
a
about
dialogue,
something.
though.
Yeah.
But that'd be a dialogue.
Yeah.
Versus a monologue is just like I will have a monologue where I'm almost like just sitting there talking to myself, but it's
Yeah,
not,
I don't do
I'm
that.
I'm not
I
speaking.
don't do that, but
I'm just doing it in my
I
mind.
definitely have
kinda,
dialogues.
I'm kind of in English, or close to English, going through thoughts and ideas. But then there's also, on top of that, there's just thoughts. There's just pure meaning. And so it's weird to think about. But then I can't imagine life without those things, because those things are, I don't know necessarily if this is the right word, axiomatic to my existence.
yeah. No, okay.
Like
That's
they're
strong.
key. They're
Yeah.
key.
Yeah, that's strong.
I'm not me without those things.
Yeah.
I'm something else.
I agree.
In my opinion, I'm something else without those things, and I would say that thing is not sentient.
So if somebody told you, do you have a hard time sleeping?
Sometimes.
Yeah, I do all the time. I don't.
Yeah.
I actually don't sleep very well
I load
'cause
up.
my mind. So if I'm
This is probably really bad
Oh,
for my health.
they load up on Ambien or something.
I take at least 4 10-milligram dissolvable melatonin pills a night
Yeah, see, I won't take that
to
shit.
guarantee that I get sleep.
See, I don't take
Well,
that
actually,
because
I probably I won't do it on, tonight. It's Friday night.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
because you're not worried about getting up.
I'm not worried about when I'm going to wake
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
but it's also entirely possible. Maybe not all that likely, because I worked all day today.
You're gonna
and
load up on Papa John's.
I might load up on Papa John's, which might.
You and I are both gonna load up on Papa John's.
We're gonna get some Papa John's later, probably. And
we deserve it.
We earned it this week.
We've earned it.
Alex did work for money this week, which is good, opposed to
My
not
free work that I do.
negative work. But so I won't do it on a night like tonight, because it's not a big deal. Because when I can't sleep, for me, I don't necessarily like. It's not necessarily a problem. I think of it as a problem when I have to go to work in the morning. When it's Saturday night and I'm just laying in bed and I can't go to sleep, it's 2 a.m. This happens to me every time after I trip on psychedelics. It's weird, but I don't necessarily mind it, because I'm just, it's me. I'm there. I'm with my thoughts, and I'm doing something. I'm sorting through something.
Yeah.
And it might just be crazy nonsense, conspiracy stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm doing something. I'm sorting something. My opinions or what I think is real. Or, I'm making progress on my worldview in
I have this
I'm doing
strange idea. It's not based on anything. It's just based on pseudoscience, we'll say, that people like us,
pseudoscientists here.
Pseudoscience. People like us that don't sleep,
Well,
8 to 10 hours a night, like some people I know. I know people
I
that,
can sleep 10 hours.
but I know people that do that consistently.
Yeah.
Like I know people that cannot function with less than 8 or 9 hours sleep. But I think people that do sleep like that will live longer. I think people like us that maybe don't will live shorter.
Yeah,
but we
there is
live
something
long,
to
we
sleep.
live more in the time period we've been on the planet, because we're not unconscious for 8 to 10 hours every day.
I don't remember the details, but I do think there's something to that. There's a guy who's been on Joe Rogan. His name is Matthew Walker. Coincidentally, is the exact same name as my cousin.
Oh, that's funny.
So
let's just say your cousin's been on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Fuck. Your cousin's awesome.
He's a sleep expert.
Right.
And he was talking about that. And he basically, I didn't know this until I saw this interview, but he was talking about stuff like how you can sleep in intervals almost, right? Like if you, basically you need roughly 8 hours of sleep a night. And some people have, a variation in what they actually need based on their physiology.
I don't know where they get that though. Where do they get that fucking number?
There's a lot of research.
Okay, but you know,
listen, but you're about to try and kind of
what I'm saying though is there's always nuance. There's always nuance. To say 8 hours that everybody needs.
Okay,
8
but
hours.
what did I just say?
I know, but what I'm saying.
But what did I just say?
What did I just say? What did I just say?
I literally just said. You said like 8 hours is about.
I'm not disagreeing with
straight up the average.
No,
and I literally just said deviation based on physiology, which is what he was saying.
Sure.
You know, and I don't know what it ranges to. It probably ranges to 10 and down to 6, right? Because you get some people that just don't need sleep that are weird, right? And they function perfectly normal on much less sleep.
And who's to say that? But they've had that number for a long fucking time. Have they done new research? You know what I mean?
The research is ongoing.
So they just keep coming up with that number?
Probably. Because
you're speculating. I'd like to know if they're actually doing that.
That's like saying the day's 24 hours. They've said that for a long time.
No, that's different.
Are they testing the day?
No, that's different. That's something based on math and
right. And this is based on science that
this would be based
neither
on
of us fully understand.
What you'd have to do is
you'd
have to take a large subsection of the population to be able to know that. So if you took 1,000 people, hold on, but if you took 1,000 people out of 7.5 billion on the planet, that's a drop. That's nothing. That doesn't give you bullshit.
It gives you a lot if you have 1,000 people.
But I'm saying, but that doesn't. You don't know anything. You don't know if. Let's say.
Okay, but I will bet you $1,000. I will bet you $1,000 that if we did a deep dive into the research, we would find extensive research into sleep, going back probably over 100 years.
What I'm saying though is, it might not be new research.
No, this is what this guy is. I mean, he's not.
But he might be based on old research. It might be based on old research. But
this is what he does, right? Like that's his thing, is researching this stuff about sleep.
I don't know, man. Listen, all I'm saying is a lot of times research is based on somebody's research they've done a while back, and there's not really current research. And maybe that research was done 100 years ago when the planet had 3 billion people on it, and now we have 7.5 billion, and we have a whole bunch of different things like the internet and things like that we didn't have then. We have, all kinds of other technological advances that could change that number. That's all I'm saying.
$2,000. We're gonna do an extensive deep dive, and we're gonna look at all the sleep research.
$2,000? What are we doing?
We're gonna look at the sleep research.
I'm saying,
what's
$2,000 about?
I'm saying that there is an extensive amount of research at all fucking times. If you want to say in the last 10 years.
You mean current stuff? Okay.
In regards to sleep, like this is like one of the main things that humans do. Like they are studying this stuff a lot, especially since, oh man, could you imagine a pill that would make you not need to sleep if you could do that? That'd be fucking weird as shit. $2,000 that they're doing this research.
There are some,
and
there's some
I
research.
will pay you $2,000 if.
So you want to bet $2,000 is what you're trying to say?
If there aren't,
you went a real roundabout way to say I'd like to bet you $2,000.
Well,
that was weird. It was like you could just open with that, but you're like $2,000.
$2,000.
And then you got a weird way of setting a bet up.
Listen, I'm a game show host. Okay, it's my profession.
Listen, there is some research showing too that sleep caused by hypnosis can get you into REM sleep a lot quicker.
Hypnosis is a fascinating topic.
I know, but what I'm saying though is imagine if like we find out
that
really all we need is like 2 hours of sleep, as long as we hit REM sleep in those 2 hours.
I think there is a number like that. Like you need a certain amount of REM sleep every night, and the issue is your sleep is cyclical, so you kind of go in and out of.
If we could fucking figure that out as a species,
right?
Think about how much.
That's
more
why I'm willing to bet you
$3,000
that they're researching
$3,000. Fuck you! You just quickly added another $1,000 into that, like real sneaky like, eh?
Because I'm certain.
I'll tell you what.
It's ridiculous to say that sleep, like one of the
I'll take your $30 bet. I'll take your $30 bet. I'll take it right now.
You're missing a couple zeros.
What? What are you talking about?
$300,000.
$300,000 bet. No, I mean
researching sleep.
All I'm saying is
that would be a $1 trillion pill.
So okay, so for me,
by the way, I thought of a $1 billion company.
Did you? You already know that I've thought of one. But we're not.
We got a couple.
We're not exercising.
You ever mix chocolate with chips, like Doritos or sour cream and onion flavored chips?
No.
It's fucking delicious.
That doesn't sound good, man.
It doesn't sound good, but it's amazing. And so, here's the idea.
Hold on. I gotta ask you something before you go on more about this. Were you fucking stoned?
No.
You weren't
I
stoned?
haven't been stoned in a long time. Well, since the last
You
time
sure?
I gave me
Were you
cookie.
on psychedelics?
No, this was today.
Okay.
At work.
All right.
You get your chip of...
Like a nacho cheese Dorito, you're saying?
Yeah, like the original Dorito.
Oh.
Or any sour cream and onion flavor. Well, I mean, some of them are bad. Like, like a Ruffles sour cream and onion flavor. So you got your chip.
You're making me hungry with
the
chips,
one
though,
side,
'cause you know I want
The
chips.
one side is your flavor, and the other side is a thin layer of chocolate
Of chocolate.
merged together. So the chip is like half chip, half chocolate
Listen.
thing.
As with anything, you have to test it. You gotta
I
put it
don't
together,
know how to
you gotta
build
get out
that.
there, and you gotta fucking test that
Oh,
shit.
wait,
What do you
I
mean how to
couldn't.
build it? You just bake it, you
You just
shithead.
kind of melt some chocolate in the chip, don't you? Don't you? Oh,
That's what you
I was
do,
really
man.
overthinking this.
Yeah, it's
I
science.
thought it was a little more complicated. I had to get millions of dollars in machinery to
good thing
build a
you-
factory.
It's a good thing you know a scientist. I'm a scientist, man.
You're a pseudoscientist.
I'm a scientist. Listen, I'll get 2 hours of sleep, and then I'll help you.
Yeah, yeah, but that's the thing. You can sleep for 2 hours and then be awake for 2, and then sleep for 2 hours, and as long as you get a certain amount, whatever you need, which is
Yeah.
going to be around 8 hours for the course of a day.
But I don't. That's the thing about me. So,
Yeah,
like,
but
so,
not everybody needs that. Some people
yeah,
only need 6 hours.
6 is me.
Yeah,
Yeah, if
So
I
you're
get
one of those
if
people.
I get 6 every night,
Yeah.
I'm optimal.
Yeah, and it's probably that you are getting more REM sleep in less.
If
Because
I
of
sleep
because
8
of
hours,
some mutation or
Yeah.
something. in
If
your
I
body.
sleep 8 hours, I actually feel like I've overslept a little. I feel
Really?
overtired a little.
Actually, no, I was gonna say I don't feel that, but I do feel that. So
Yeah.
For me, that's like 10 and a half hours.
But my problem is I don't get into grooves like that. I was in a groove for about a year and a half, maybe, where I was going to bed around 1 o'clock
Okay.
and I was getting up at 7. So it was like sometimes I go to bed just after 1, sometimes just before 1, but I get up at 7, like clockwork, and I wouldn't even wake up to an alarm. Just bang, wake up.
Oh, yeah.
But I would sleep. Like 90% of the time, I'd go to sleep, wake up.
You know what is crazy?
But now I wake up like crazy. Like I wake up in the middle of the night 4 or 5 fucking times.
Yeah, I do that too.
I can never
usually
get
have to
a
pee.
full. If I do have a night where I just wake up to the alarm, like I go to sleep and I wake up to the alarm, I'm confused. I go like, what the fuck happened? I'm like, it can't be my alarm.
Yeah.
Literally, my mind goes,
But-
can't be my alarm.
Okay, I have consistently all week, in the last week, I noticed it this week, I think it was happening last week, and we'll see if it continues. I have been consistently, no matter how much sleep I get, waking up just a couple minutes before my alarm.
That happens all the time to me. That's a regular.
Weird as shit.
That's a regular for me.
Yeah.
It's like I always say to people, I'm like, I think it's because subconsciously I don't want to hear that alarm sound. So I wake up
Okay.
just before
Let's
and I shut it
No,
off.
I don't think it's that.
No?
I think it's your subconsciously. Okay, I was just okay. Let me find my words here. Either subconsciously or you're kind of precognitioning the alarm. You know that it's time to wake up, and so you wake up. This is an interesting concept. Called do you know who Rupert Sheldrake is at all? Rupert Sheldrake is a guy. He is a scientist. He wrote a book called The Science Delusion, and I might be able to actually pull to make you understand what that book is about. It's almost like a response to Richard Dawkins' The God Delusion.
Mhm.
I'm sure you're
Yep.
familiar with, or
I'm
maybe
familiar.
you haven't read it, but you know.
I know of that.
it.
Yeah, I've never read it.
And in this book, he kind of, I think it's 10, yeah. He kind of outlines 10 dogmas of science that people just kind of take for granted.
Debunked. What's that?
That's probably a site just being stupid. But anyway, he has some interesting ideas and some interesting research into what he calls, I guess, precognition, which is essentially seeing into the future, but not necessarily consciously.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here are his 10 dogmas in the science delusion. Let's just make sure this is showing on the screen. Yes, it is. Okay. He is
Just me.
talking about one. Everything is essentially mechanical. Dogs, for example, are complex mechanisms rather than living organisms with goals of their own. Even people are machines, lumbering robots. In Richard Dawkins' vivid phrase, the brains that are like genetically programmed computers. Number 2, all matter is unconscious. It has no inner life or subjectivity or point of view. Even human consciousness is an illusion produced by the material activities of brains. Number 3, the total amount of matter and energy is always the same, with the exception of the Big Bang, when all the matter and energy of the universe suddenly appeared. 4, the laws of nature are fixed. They are the same today as they were at the beginning, and they will stay the same forevermore. Number 5, nature is purposeless, and evolution has no goal or direction. 6, all biological inheritance is material, carried in the genetic material, DNA, in other material structures. Number 7, minds are inside heads and are nothing but the activities of brains. When you look at a tree, the image of the tree you are seeing is not out there where it seems to be, but inside your brain. Number 8, memories are stored as material traces in brains and are wiped out at death. Number 9, unexplained phenomena like telepathy are illusory. Illusory is the right word for that. Yeah. 10, mechanistic medicine is the only kind that really works. Now, this is an eye-opening concept.
It's a brain fuck.
Well, because a lot of these things you are taught to dogmatize, right? It's
Sure.
kind of in the materialistic religious nature of our current society, and then you kind of realize that, oh yeah, some of these things are a little easier than others. Like memories are stored as material traces in brains and are wiped out at death. There's a lot of very strange phenomena around memories where I think I don't remember exact. Oh, I think it's in multiple people. They have basically So to account for every part of the brain over the course of many people, they have removed an entire brain, and none of them experience memory loss. Right, so it's not like they found, okay, if we pull this,
oh, I get what you mean.
You're gonna lose some memories, right? So that's weird. So memory is not something we understand at all,
because they assume it's stored in a certain part of your brain.
But that's as he's pointing out, it's a dogma.
But
we don't actually understand it.
But there's some, I don't know what the word would be. There's some idea, I guess, scientific idea, that memories can be stored in your cells of all throughout your body.
Oh yeah,
so not just your brain.
But the point of this is not to say that there isn't possibly a materialistic explanation. Right. It's just to say that the statement is kind of taken for granted by society and scientists in regards to a topic, memory, that in reality we don't understand it. Just like consciousness, we just don't understand it. Period. Like,
well, this would imply that consciousness doesn't exist.
If memories are stored as material traces,
right?
Well,
so
no.
Basically, it's saying there's no such thing as consciousness. It's just your brain. So once you're
well, yeah, that's number 2.
Yeah, this is basically
all matter is unconscious.
Right.
It has no inner life or subjectivity or point of view. Even
so in other words,
is an illusion produced.
There's no such thing as a soul. There's no such thing as any of that. It's
exactly. Which is, I think it's easy for you.
This guy was clearly atheist. The guy who wrote all this.
Wow.
Well, if he believes.
No. He's saying these are science. This is the science delusion.
Oh, he's saying
these are dogmatic claims.
Oh, okay.
Made
I thought he was trying to say that
What he's saying is that these are sort of tenets that are kind of taken for granted, in modern science.
Right.
That, we don't actually understand memory. We don't understand consciousness. We don't understand these things to make these claims.
He frames it in a way that it's almost like he's saying this. Like,
you need to understand that he's saying that these are the 10 dogmas of modern science. Is what they are.
All right.
Maybe I didn't explain it.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But
we should have read this first. Here are the core beliefs that most scientists take for granted.
Right.
But now I don't know if I agree with that though. I don't think most scientists this would be a core belief for most scientists.
No, it absolutely is. These are just things that we just think of the society in general, right? Like, so if you were a scientist studying memory, you might be open because you might understand it in a better sense. You might be like, okay, yeah, we don't understand memory. But if you're if you're an astrophysicist, you are going to refer to the idea that memories are stored in the brain, unless you have
and I don't disagree with that. I think that's very.
But I also do think that we are moving. Strangely, we're moving through a time where I guess we're becoming less and less materialistic. Which I think is we have entered, or we are entering a new psychedelic era. The psychedelics have a cyclical thing, right? Like there was the 60s where they were a big push, and then I think again in like the 90s or something. I don't know.
Well, there's evidence to show that our bodies actually produce psychedelics.
Yeah, but that's aside from the point.
But I mean,
the point is there are periods in history. It's almost cyclical where people are more open to these experiences.
Psychedelics? Sure.
And what I was going to say
Everything's
is
cyclical,
it's easy for you to that's what the elves say. It's easy for you to say, and I'm not saying that you say this. I'm just saying that from your there's a wider point. It's easy for you to have some of these dogmas. Because you grow up in this society and you do these things, and you have your experiences and blah blah blah, right? For me, someone in my position, I have left my body. I have left my body and traveled to impossible places. I have left my body and witnessed looking at myself from across the room, right? So I've had those two experiences. I've had experiences that are outside of myself entirely, where myself isn't even a part of the experience. And those experiences completely call into question almost everything that is here. On top of being to certain places multiple times, that's a bit of a mind fuck too. But when you don't have those experiences, it's a lot easier to
jump on board this dogma.
It's just a lot easier to get on board with this stuff because it's everywhere. It's just kind of what people generally take for granted. And so I guess what I'm advocating for is we should all be taking psychedelics.
No, listen.
We should have a psychedelic holiday.
I agree with you. I'm very, you know me, I'm very open. My mind is very open to all
Not
kinds
just his
of...
mind, people.
What's that?
Other parts of him are very open too.
Listen, if you're a good-looking woman,
he'll let you.
you do things to
inside.
me. Yeah, sure. No, I'm open to anything, but I'm also of the idea that our minds are wonderful things and very imaginative, very inventive. You can't. I don't think you can say 100% conclusively that those experiences you had,
no one can,
weren't in your mind as well, right?
No.
And that's the thing. It's like.
But one of the issues too that
I'm open that it isn't.
No, I know.
I'm just as open to either.
What I want to say is that it's hard. Like I was there, right? I was there. That was my thought.
Yeah.
But some of these experiences, right? So you take a small amount of mushrooms, like what you did, like you experienced. You can hand wave that whole experience away as being a creation of the mind. Now, it's harder to do so when you factor in visual acuity, but you didn't really test that or notice that necessarily.
No, I did notice the visual acuity. That was crazy.
So that's kind of one of those things about psychedelics that are like, that's weird. That's weird. Mm-hmm. Why are you seeing better? But beyond the point, I've seen things that are so fantastically complex and beautiful, and like it seems far beyond the imaginative ability of the mind, far beyond anything that I've ever conceived of on my own, that I've ever dreamed, in weird states. Just things that seem completely just beyond the grasp of the human mind without these substances. To see it, I don't know how to explain it.
No, I listen.
It's fucking weird.
You kind of don't have to explain it. Like I'm trying to frame this correctly the way I say it. I do believe. Well, I'm very open to this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying.
Yeah,
I'm not accusing you of being a skeptic.
Not,
and when I say it's easy for you, I'm calling from your experiences, not necessarily your opinions.
No, you're right though. I am a skeptic, but I'm a healthy skeptic. I'm skeptic.
That's what all skeptics say.
No, but I'm a healthy skeptic where
Nick
I'm like...
West would say he's a healthy skeptic.
No, I think you have to be a healthy skeptic. I think if you just believe shit for the sake of believing it, then that's
faith is foolish. That's
right. So I'm a healthy skeptic.
That's been my take for a long time.
I believe both ends of it. Like, I'm in the middle of it because I'm like, I have experiences that would lead me to believe that there are other... maybe planes of existence, things like that, and not even under when I've been under the influence of psychedelics or anything like that. I've had these kinds of weird sort of experiences, if you will, just laying in bed and my mind goes to a weird sort of place. But I can't rule out the possibility that's just in my mind. It's the same with the psychedelic experience I had, albeit mild. Mm-hmm. The one thing I can't really 100% explain is the visual acuity. That was crazy.
That's a weird one.
That's the weirdest thing for me of the whole thing. But I don't know if you remember this. Remember the whole time I was tripping, I would have these thoughts, and I'd begin a thought with you, and then I'd just suddenly stop and go, what's the point of that? Like, what's the point?
Yeah, that happens.
It was one of these things
that's
where
normal.
I would start to delve into something, and I would go, this seems trivially stupid to me.
Just trivial.
Like, it just seems, but it's not even just trivial to me. It seems stupid. Yeah. Like when I was saying it, I stopped talking because I was like, I feel like I'm dumb saying this right now.
Mm-hmm. Maybe because you're realizing it's meaningless or almost futile or fruitless, and your time could be better spent on something else. And that's what psychedelics really help with. Like, okay, psychedelics on one end, you can travel to these fantastical places, which I am definitely on the side of. These places are real places, just because I've been to two of them twice. It's
you
easy.
Get frequent flyer miles? Like when you go
I
back?
know.
Do they recognize you? They go, oh, Tyler, good to see you again.
There weren't... Have I talked about that on this yet? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure we talked about it. But go ahead and talk about it again. Nobody's watching.
There are two places...
We'll be watching later.
Well, one of the two places I entered for the second time just last weekend.
Ooh.
Last week? Was
when
that
you
the
took
weekend? No, 2 weekends ago.
2 weekends ago. When you took 100.
No, I wound up doing 70. I told you I was going to do 90.
Yeah, you did.
I was afraid of 90, so I settled with 70.
I was afraid of 90.
I was right to be afraid. That was a crazy
70
trip.
was crazy.
Should we do a bit of a trip report here?
Yeah, do trip report.
So at first I'll describe the two places that I've been on psychedelic trips. The first one seemed to have something to do with the afterlife, and I went to this place on a 10-gram mushroom trip, as well as a high dose, I don't remember the exact dose, of 4-ACO DMT, 30 milligrams of 4-ACO DMT, roughly 3 grams worth of shrooms. If you were to convert it.
Okay. Okay. And you were on a 10-gram when you took it, you said? You were on 10 grams of mushrooms?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I went to this place. That was the first
30%
time.
of what you were at.
Oh, yeah. No, you were at an introductory dose. A lot of people might say that what you did was a high dose. It's not a high dose.
Okay.
It's more of a... I think that's because a lot of people will take like a gram at a party.
See, I trusted you.
Feel something.
I trusted you, even though you turned into a demon.
Yeah.
Even though I was afraid to look at your face at one point because your face started looking fucked up.
That's another thing. Do you fucking, after having that experience, do you understand, like, you completely discredited or discounted me when I was trying to force you to look at the numbers on the scale and to see for both my and your dose, so that do you kind of understand why I wanted you to see that, just so that you could have that grounding. It was so that you could have that grounding in reality, where it's like, okay, this is the stuff that we're eating. It's coming from the same bag. Here it is, 30 milligrams. That's for you. Same stuff, 30 milligrams. That's for me. Watch, we're doing it at the same time, so that you don't have these crazy thoughts. You gave me way more than
but I wouldn't. I trust you.
No, but you say you wouldn't, but I turned into I'm not saying that you had those thoughts, but it's this irrational, like that can, like, I heard a story one time, and it actually ruined friendships. It was one of my roommates at university. He with a few other people, they did I think it was acid that they took.
Acid's fucked up though.
It was either acid or some other tryptamine. I think it was acid. But they all took it. But the one guy got super fucking paranoid about it. He didn't trust it. He even after the trip, he was certain that they had given him, something else or more than what they said or something like that. Yeah. And it completely destroyed any friendships that these people had with this guy, because this guy, he didn't trust them anymore, because he had, and I think that was a result of an irrational thought loop that these things can put you in. Yeah,
but you know what though? I think that's already somebody who's not coming from a balanced place.
Absolutely.
So for example,
but you don't necessarily. Okay, until you take psychedelics, you don't know.
For example, though, with you, I trusted you 100%. Nothing changed about that. The whole thing about when remember I asked you a couple times, I'm like, am I gonna still be in control? And you're like, yeah, which I was. So yes. That would be the only thing that I was worried about. Like, I didn't want to lose control to a point where I'd be like, I lose control to what I'm seeing, and I think that what I'm seeing is 100% real, and I react to that.
You can lose control of what you're seeing. Here's the thing, you don't, in my experience, I have never, I've done a lot of very high doses. I have never, no, I have lost myself, but I haven't been in a psychedelic place, right? Like the first place that I began to describe before we went off on this tangent, and thought, oh, this is reality. Now, I was perfectly conscious of the fact that, okay, this is a place that I'm in that's beyond
different from reality,
beyond the normal.
Right.
Not necessarily. It might be a part of reality, right? It's some other aspect of it, or whatever.
It's not the reality.
It isn't. I'm not in my room anymore.
Right.
Right. I was fully aware of that aspect of what is happening. I didn't, think that this is fucking life now or something like that. But this. Okay, so let's go back to these two places that I've been to. First place was on 10 grams of shrooms. What's that? I'm good on beer.
I need one.
Well, you know what? If you're going over there.
So speak loudly so I can hear you.
Right. So this first place, I went there on a 10-gram mushroom trip, as well as a high dose 4-ACO DMT trip. I don't remember the exact dose. Probably between 70 and 100 milligrams. And what this place was, it seemed very strongly to have something to do with the afterlife. No idea what that means to this day. That's just the feeling that I got about this place. And what was very fascinating about it, I was kind of taken almost on kind of like a ride at an amusement park. Mm-hmm. You go to Disney World, the ride goes through the place. That was kind of my experience with it. I was taken sort of along this walkway that was around. It just kind of went around a little bit, and beyond the walkway was like this weird hyperdimensional stuff, right? Try to imagine void that isn't nothingness, that's kind of flowy. I'm sure something similar to that has been depicted in movies that I've seen, but it wasn't like anything. Nothing that exists, right? That we could go and see.
Okay.
Right. But it was like there's the walkway and then there's that stuff beyond it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there, and I was taken along the walkway, and there were in this place it was very ceremonial in terms of like kind of had a similar feeling to a wedding, where it was very familial, family wise, and you're there, and there's a reason that you're all there. And there was, I think, like my whole family there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who all was there. I just know that the one that I recognized, that I noticed, was my sister. Right? Mm-hmm. But there were others around her, but she's the one that I kind of, oh, you're here, And what was interesting about them, because they were all kind of like facing me, their eyes were glowing, right? So instead of like you look at me, I have eyeballs. There's fucking something like light coming out, and retrospectively, I wonder if that if that's like their ethereal avatar, and the glowing eyes just kind of represent is like they're alive. Maybe when they die, the light goes out. And they embody that avatar. So I don't know. That's an idea, right? Mm-hmm. I was taken along this pathway, and they were there, and there seemed to be some kind of gateway there, but I didn't get a clear view of the gateway, and it seemed to have something to do with the afterlife. But I don't know what happens when you go through the gateway, and I don't know why I was there. Went there twice. It was the exact same both times. Weird.
That's crazy.
What's weird about it is that I was there twice, and that's the thing that gets me, right? Psychedelic experiences are one thing. But when you end up in the same place twice, that's in science. That's
definitely.
It gives credit to the idea that what's happening isn't simply a jumbling of the mind and causing a weird experience, right? It's like there's something more to it.
No, I agree. Definitely, it would definitely be some kind of. I mean, you could try and argue like scientifically that it was like your brain. That's the way your brain composes that kind of information, and it constructs it into that.
But then you might think you would go there every time,
right?
Or more
but
frequently.
I tend to agree with you that I think it would be something outside of that.
It seems almost like it's an actual place that exists.
Try and have the same dream twice.
Way.
Just try and have the same fucking dream twice. Like even if you fucking have a dream, and then you wake up from the dream, try and go back into the fucking same dream and see if it's the same. It's not. I don't know if like maybe other people will say that it is, but I've never been able to do it.
I've had recurring dreams.
Well, I've had recurring dreams.
I've had recurring dreams when I was a kid that were the same.
But is everything the same? Like where you went the same?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that
everything
as you were interrupting me. Yeah, as a kid, I had recurring dreams where they were the same. Everything about the dream was the same, but only a few times. I think there's one that I remember, but I think there might have been 2 or 3 that I had. And it wasn't like every night I'd have this dream, but over the course of maybe a year or two, I would have this recurring dream.
But then why wouldn't that lean you to the idea that your mind made that place up?
Well, because
you've had the same recurring dream. See, my point
seemed to be external.
But my point is the fact that I can't seem to have the same recurring dream, but I'll have recurring dreams where the same sort of thing is happening. Like, so for example, my brother, right? I have dreams about my brother, and the same sort of thing happens where I'm talking to him.
Because I have that too.
But nothing's the same. Like, it's not like we're in the same fucking place or whatever.
Yeah, no, I have that too. I have another that I still have. Maybe every I don't know how frequently it changes. But I have a recurring dream that is not the dream that's the same. It's the theme that's the same.
And we interrupt each other, by the way. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, what I have to say happens to be more important.
I just don't fucking point it out. Asshole.
What I have to say. Well, no, it's when you interrupt me to make a point that I was literally just about to say.
You do the same thing, you fucking fuckbag.
That's the.
But whatever.
Yeah.
Carry on. You bastard piece of shit.
That's it. I have a recurring.
Oh, by the way,
theme.
anybody watching this, if there's anybody watching this, Tyler just lost his grandmother.
Oh,
He needs a little bit of sympathy for it.
no, that's okay.
So we're saddened by the loss of Mrs. Grandmother Tyler.
Mrs. Grandma.
Mrs. Grandmother Tyler. Maybe this would be fucking cool, though. Next time you're on a trip or something, you talk to your grandmother.
If I met my that'd be a whole fucking thing.
You never know, man.
I
I
know you never know.
Did I tell you about some of my dreams about my brother and shit?
No.
So, for anybody who's watching this and doesn't know, my brother hung himself back in 2014. But I have dreams where my brother's there, like he's just in the dream sort of thing, like, you know, just like almost like a party guest type thing. And then I realize he's there.
Right.
And I know he's dead. And he knows he's dead. And he has conversations with me based on the idea that we both know he's dead. And we're talking now. And I always just sort of like push it off to the idea that my brain just makes it up and that's my way of coping or whatever. But fuck, wouldn't it be cool if you found out that, like, you know, I don't know how you'd find out, but like if somehow we came upon the knowledge.
You might find out when you die.
Well, but then,
And you find yourself still kind of.
But that's what I'm saying.
Kind of conceiving of things like, oh, interesting.
Well, yeah, but I mean, in the living years, if you will, we found out somehow. We found out that there was some
Speaking to the
kind of
dead
thing.
on psychedelics would be a paradigm shift for me if that happened to me.
That's never happened?
No. I've never had clear communication with anything
I was hoping
on a trip.
when I went on the trip, I was hoping I'd get something like that.
I was hoping a lot.
Well, I was hoping. You should try
DMT.
Yeah, I don't.
Because it's very intense. I say it's very intense. It's been too intense for me to actually do a proper breakthrough trip. But what is good is that it's very short lived.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like if you want that possibly just that out of body, you know, where anything goes kind of experience, DMT without, you know, really buckling up for the long haul. Yeah. DMT is the way to go.
My whole worry about stuff like that is the loss of control.
Yeah, DMT will just put you to sleep.
Yeah. It's just like,
I mean,
it's the uncertainty.
To our perspective.
Yeah, it's the uncertainty and the loss of control for me. That's one of the reasons why I don't typically do drugs, because something like this, I start feeling the effects, and I go, okay, I just can stop. I mean, it doesn't have what's that term where you're drinking a bunch and then it has the after sort of effects, like, you know what I mean, like some things have a delayed effect where you
right.
So like liquor, you take 5 shots right now, bang 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 bang, you don't feel anything.
But
for
when
like
you stand
5
up,
to
you're
10 minutes,
fall
and then all
down.
of a sudden it's like boom, but it comes on heavy.
Yeah.
Drinking beer, like you're come on,
gradual.
No matter what, is always going to be gradual. I could pound back 5 beers right now in 10 minutes, and my come on still going to be fairly gradual. Now, if I did that with like liquor, I'm going to be fucked. I'm going to be on the floor vomiting.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with like different drugs, right? You take it, you don't know how it's gonna affect you unless you've sort of built up a tolerance to it.
No,
that's what
you do know how it's going to affect you if you've taken it before.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, psychedelics are a little different because the trip is different.
You have
but the trip goes through a landscape.
You have a tolerance that's like probably like 20 times my tolerance.
I don't have any tolerance.
Well,
the
tolerance.
tolerance
You just took 70 fucking milligrams or 70 grams,
and it was as intense as it would be if you took it. The tolerances for psychedelics are
no. What I'm saying though is like because you've done
as in I can handle it. Yes,
you've done different.
But in terms of what the actual experience is going to be, like if you took that amount, you'd end up in a similar place. Not that you would have the same trip, but it would be as intense.
No, but you know what I mean when I'm saying tolerance. I'm saying your mental buildup to it. Like you understand what's going to happen.
Well, yeah, I know what's
point.
going on.
I don't. I have reference point to the one time I did it with you.
Yeah, it's a familiar list.
Right.
And I wouldn't recommend you take 70 milligrams.
No.
If anything, I would recommend you just smoke DMT to do a short one, or do 40 milligrams. And then, see where you are there, and maybe go up to 50 milligrams. Maybe do 50 milligrams, do 50.
Why do you say milligrams instead of grams?
Because I do 4 ACO DMT, and that's how I'm used to thinking about it in milligrams.
Because I did 3 grams, right?
No, you did 30 milligrams.
But I did 3 grams.
Worth, yeah, but
30
you
milligrams
did
is 3
you
grams,
did
right?
30 milligrams of 4 ACO DMT, which is, as an experience, roughly equal to 3 grams of dried shrooms, of psilocybin shrooms, which varies because you have different potencies and different strains, right? But
that's what I mean. I was
you can say
I
you
was
did
curious
3
as to why you're referring to it as milligrams.
because I'm referring to
grams.
4 ACO DMT and not actual mushrooms. And when I do talk about my mushroom trips, I'll say like I did 10 grams of mushrooms.
Yeah.
Right. Well, then the second place that I went to
Oh, okay.
is very strange because there seemed to be
My bedroom?
yeah, I was there last night.
You sicko.
You sleep like
You watch
a
me when
baby.
I sleep.
Yeah,
You
well,
are-
he's so adorable in his sleep. You know?
Listen, I curl up.
Yeah.
I make a little
He's got his
I go,
fucking.
num
he's
num
got a
num
little
num
bear
num. I
with
make
him.
little num num sounds. Num num num
But
num
the
num num.
second place was this fucking weird room. It felt like a room, but it was almost like it was infinitely big. But it felt like it ended, but you couldn't really like see the ending of it. Like, have you ever put on a VR headset and had like that initial room where it's just kind of forever space, where it's like, oh, I'm in a room, but it doesn't. You know, it seems to end, but it doesn't end.
I get fucked up experiences on VR. Like depending on what I'm playing, I get the whole equilibrium throw off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just
like-
talking about like the initial loading of like an HD
Oh
or something.
no!
But
Usually, anytime I've played it, it's already been.
I don't know how
loaded
to explain it. It was like the room was infinite, but also finite. It's fucking weird.
up. Sure.
You know, it didn't seem to have walls, or at least the walls weren't something that I could comprehend the way that, you know, this. And it's there was like a circle of these pillars. I don't remember how many. It's something like 12, right? Of these pillars in these, and the pillars seem to be almost like entities or beings of some kind, or at least some kind of thing that is taking the shape of a pillar, but is, you know, beyond the complexity of a human being even.
Okay.
Right? So even though, you know, in our conception of our reality, oh, that's a pillar, that's maybe something far more advanced and beyond even ourselves. That's the vibe that room seemed to give, and I was only there briefly, and I was there twice, which is weird, and I don't know what that room is or where it exists or how.
Should have
it
tried leaving
exists,
something.
or- Well, I didn't have anything. I was out of my body. I didn't have any kind of body with me. I was like, you know, a soul floating through.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could
reality.
like drop something and then you go back and you're like,
Yeah,
"Where's
but
that
where would
fucking
you?
thing?"
What would you get? Something, you know.
I don't know.
When material reality fades away, where do you get something? You know.
I don't know. Maybe you can
Yeah.
make it. Maybe you could conjure it.
That's kind of what the elves kind of teach you how to do, which
Right.
I really want to meet them, but I'm afraid of DMT.
Those fucking DMT elves.
It's so intense, so fast, even for somebody like me who's done so much in such high doses. Just how fast it is, it's off-putting, you know.
Those
I-
fucking elves.
That's what I thought about. I thought, oh man, yeah, no, I've done crazy doses. I could just do this. I just load up and do it and go and see what happens, and I couldn't. I just couldn't.
That's funny. So what is this? Tell us about these elves thing. Like,
Oh, the machine elves?
Machine
well, I
elves,
haven't
yeah.
met the machine elves. I only know about the machine elves because they're kind of...
do they have a place that you go to?
Yes. Terrence McKenna is a guy that took a lot of psychedelics in the 80s, basically. He's a botanist, I think, technically. And he became obsessed with psychedelics, kind of similar to myself, although my own obsession is heavily influenced by Terrence McKenna. And basically, he describes how he encounters what he would describe as self-transforming elf machines or self-dribbling jeweled basketballs. People kind of just started to call them the machine elves for short.
Self-dribbling
Jeweled basketball.
basketballs.
In reality, you just have to think it's an entity that is something that you can't comprehend without seeing it, just because it seems to. it seems to exist in like higher dimensional
Do they
reality.
make toys?
We don't really. They make objects with their voices, and Terence McKenna talks about how when presented with some of these objects in that time, in that space, as he's looking at these objects, he understood that if one of these objects, right, there is so complex and strange and beautiful that if one of these objects could somehow be brought back into, you know,
Reality.
this reality, this level of reality, it would completely change the world. Right? That's kind of a strange feeling that he had about those objects. Hold on.
We're gonna try and pull this up.
No, I'm trying to go back over here.
Oh.
And so the machine elves are just an interesting creature because when it comes to DMT, and these are encountered on DMT, although Terence McKenna, I think, does describe encountering them on mushroom trips sometimes. DMT there are several entities or types of entities that multiple people report encountering. Right? So, like, the machine elves are one of them.
Like, you mean consistently?
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah. Like, there are lots of people who report encountering
The same? They
jesters.
look the same?
It's hard to compare because, you know,
Well, it's kind of like...
same,
so,
but in drawings.
yeah, you know, like, when people
Here,
say
I'll show you what I mean. Hold on.
You know, when people say they're like, oh, that they... people flatline or whatever on the operating table or things like that, and they see the light, and they go to the light, and you get people who will say consistent sort of things on that. Is the depiction of these machine elves the same? Like, is it...
Well, the depiction is not the same because the depiction of the machine elves is not something you could depict.
Okay.
But
then how do they know they're the machine elves?
Entities. Well, that's the thing. Some people I've noticed have mistaken the machine elves. They will use the term machine elves to refer to any DMT entity rather than the specific one that Terence McKenna is talking about, or other entities that might be similar. That people call the machine elves, but maybe they aren't. What I would basically say is just look at Terence McKenna's description of the machine elves, and then if someone else comes independently with a description, or Terence McKenna's description perfectly describes their experience, they encounter the machine elves. If not, probably something else. But there are other things that are more depictable, and we'll see if they come up. Well, this is not what I was expecting. It's not loading either. Okay, what if I maybe refine the search? Well, this. I've seen this. Not necessarily in the kind of Mandelbrot sense.
Now,
But I've seen that head.
Did you pre-look this up before you...
I've seen some of the stuff I've seen
prior
beforehand.
to having a DMT experience?
Well, I haven't fully.
Because it could be your mind.
I didn't see this on DMT.
Oh, okay. See, these are the kinds of things that I have to look at when I talk about stuff like this. I have to entertain the idea that your mind saw it, like you saw it before you took the hallucinogenic, and then you're just recreating it on in that experience, right?
Okay, kind of. That is possible, and that is something worth considering. But when you have like this image, so I think what we're seeing here, this is not something that I've seen,
right?
But what I think is going on here is, and a lot of people will say that this is kind of like the gestury, or a part of the gesture experience that people see, which is a common entity. And I think what's going on here is similar to, if we look up the biblically accurate angels, you get something that looks like this. I could just click this one. Okay, that's not even the complete image. You get something that looks like this.
It's creepy.
Right. I've seen this. But what's happening in this image is quite clearly a depiction of something that you can't really depict in 2 dimensions, but it's an attempt. So it's kind of like if I'll do the experiment now. I'll see if I can. Let's see if I did something like this, and then we did like fucking that. Right.
Oh, you're trying to create the front of the house?
Oh, so but it looks nothing like the house.
I saw you doing the columns.
Right, but it looks absolutely nothing like the house, but you
Sure.
have enough details from knowing what the house looks like that, that's an attempt at a depiction
Sure.
of the house, but there are so many nuances to what the house actually looks like.
Sure.
That's that. That's that, having seen, like,
Yeah,
I've seen
it's
something
hard for your
that
mind's eye to put it down to what you've seen.
Because what I would present is the idea that these are higher dimensional beings. We're a 3-dimensional monkey.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot wrap our head around
We're trying to transcend
these
that.
beings. We're trying, and psychedelics help. But I've seen this, but it doesn't look like that,
Yeah.
right? But I look at
but-
that, and I can
you
tell
can tell
that
that's
is
what they're
quite
trying to.
clearly a depiction.
Just like you just
of-
did there.
Exactly.
Where I know that you're trying to
Exactly.
depict the front of the house,
Even though I'm a terrible
but it's pretty
artist,
brutal.
there's so much left out.
Oh yeah.
Right. So that's what that is. And so with the DMT entities, it's similar in some of these depictions.
Speak loudly.
I will try. I'll try to get common DMT entities to come up. Let's see here. You also have the Greys. Yeah, you know the aliens, the Greys.
Oh yeah.
They seem to come up in psychedelics sometimes. I actually saw one once.
They look like what everybody thinks aliens look like?
It looked like a gray.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it had its nuances, which was what was very interesting about it, in my experience. It was like I could tell, like so like you have the depiction of the Greys, right? Are pictures, drawings, CGI, or whatever, right? But it isn't. There aren't details there. Like for example, if somebody like did an animated version of you, there are details left out, and so when I saw the Grey, it was like an actual being. Like there were details in its face and its structure that were like, oh, this is an actual thing, which was just, I don't know, it was a baffling experience when I saw it. It wasn't like physically there. It was more of like a holographic projection that I saw of it, but it was weird. But they come up in DMT trips, or in DMT trips. Sometimes they're like working on you or something.
There?
No. Let's see if it comes up something similar. No, that's not any of this. When you have like that, that's not what I saw.
Right.
That's like a different being.
I was probed. I had a Grey probe me, but
Yeah.
he looked a lot like you.
Well,
He was sticking
maybe
things in. He was sticking things in me.
I thought I had a better costume.
Oh shit! It was you, wasn't it?
I didn't think you could.
Damn
tell.
it! Ugh, I thought it was a Grey. Turns out it was a Tyler.
It was just a Tyler.
Sticking Grey things in me.
Yeah.
Were they all Grey?
Some of them. One of them was purple. But,
Colorful.
you get the jesters on DMT. That's one of the entities. I guess that's meant to be a depiction of the jesters. I haven't encountered the jesters. Yeah, there's a interesting image. Why don't I just type in that one?
The Grey, the thing would.
Oh, this. this is a common one that people see, that people will say that this image is like a pretty damn good depiction of, which is interesting because it has very similar elements to that
three-eyed boy,
to that earlier jester thing. It's not.
Yeah.
Listen, none of these details are are worth focusing on, because I think what's worth focusing on is this is an attempt to depict a higher dimensional entity of some sort.
All right.
That is, like the house. There's a boy. A lot of people will look at this image and be like, "Oh, I saw that."
See, it would be really cool to me if there was no internet, and you took like.
Well, you just have to go back to
20 different people.
You just have to go back to when Terrence McKenna was talking about there. At that time, there was like this goddess entity, which I have seen some sort of entity that seemed to be some kind of goddess that was being seen all over the world. And Terrence McKenna talks about that, and that's pre-internet times.
See, that's when it would be, for me, it would be crazy if you had 20 different people took some.
Well, you have group hallucinations, group settings.
Yeah. Where they're all hallucinating the same thing.
They see the same thing. Yeah. Which is.
But
that's a whole other ball game.
Are they talking? Could that just be like, where it's like I'm saying something to you and you start seeing what I'm saying now because I'm influencing your
I think
thought?
we're talking about things that are too complex to explain away. Is that?
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing if I'm look at that, look at the sky, it kind of looks purple, doesn't it? And you kind of say, it does.
Remember when we were both tripping, and I would say, "You see that over there?" and I point something out, and then you'd start to see it. Could it be the same thing going on, or is it that I'm suggesting to you that
it depends on how complex the thing is? I think like some of these group sightings are like straight up beings. And I do not think that you can suggest to somebody to see a being and then describe it the same as everybody else would describe it. I agree with that. That's a far...
No, I agree with that for sure. But it's
know what's interesting about this image right here of the machine elves? And this one, actually. But I saw these eyes. Like exactly those eyes. Like, I don't remember the trip... exactly, but I was trying to do a whole bunch in silent darkness.
How to talk to elves.
Yeah. Well, it's Terrence McKenna. I wanted to be in darkness, but I wasn't fully. I think it was like during the daytime. Okay. So the lights were out, but there was still some light coming through the windows. Yeah. And so I threw a blanket over my head. And this is like mid-trip of a pretty high dose. It was probably not like crazy high. It's probably like 50 milligrams. I say it's not crazy high. That was crazy high to a lot of people.
50 grams. You say 50 milligrams?
50 milligrams, 5 grams.
Oh.
50 milligrams of 4-HCO DMT is 5 grams of shrooms.
Oh.
I'm getting confused.
50 milligrams of thing is 5 grams of shrooms?
Yeah, roughly.
Oh, I thought you've taken like crazy.
I've taken 100 milligrams or 10 grams of shrooms worth, but I've also taken 10 grams of shrooms.
For some reason, I thought you've taken 70 grams.
No.
That's what I thought.
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, holy fuck.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
No, that's a lot.
But that's what I thought you were saying that you were taking. Like the one night you said you were going to take 90. I thought you were saying you were taking 90 grams.
That would be 90... that would be 9 grams worth.
Right. Okay.
And what I ended up was 7, which was 7 grams worth. And the most I've ever done is 10 grams.
And we did 3.
We did 3.
Yeah, so I did take a fairly high dose.
No.
Isn't it?
It doesn't.
Almost half of what you fucking.
No, it's not like that though.
Oh, okay.
It's not like you have 1 beer, then you have 2 beers, then you have 3 beers, and it's kind of, 1 beer adds to another. It's like, no, the 30 to 40 is a significant change. Plus, it's also the interesting thing about the psychedelic experience is it's not. It isn't like any other drug where you take a little bit of it and you start to feel it. You can wrap your head around what a lot of it is because it's just kind of compounding of that. Psychedelics is not like that. So it's a constantly changing kind of.
Just give me 10 grams, man. What the fuck?
No.
For shucks, just give me 10 grams.
No.
Watch my head explode.
I won't do that. I'll have to hold you down at some point. Well, actually, no. You won't be able to move. Your legs will be spaghetti. I've had that.
I was actually really surprised that I was like cognitively still in control. Like I just didn't.
You're almost always going to be cognitively in control. No, you're going to be cognitively in control the whole way. The only thing that might happen is you'll lose your ego possibly at a certain dose.
Yeah, then why would it be scary for me to take like that kind of dose?
Because it's going to be very intense, very quickly. It's not an easy thing to go through. You're going to go through so many things inside of you in your subconscious and whatever.
That was intense. Like what I took was pretty intense for me. Like
okay, yeah. So that there you go. Like times that by like 10 to get up to 10 grams. I mean, it is also possible that you had that trip and you sorted through a bunch of stuff and you're better off and you could handle a much higher dose. It's not so you shouldn't jump into it. I'm not gonna. Like, honestly. I mean, I did technically jump into it. My second trip was 7 grams. But
I feel like I lost out on machine elves though. That's all.
You need to smoke DMT for that. But I saw these eyes. I threw the blanket over my head and closed my eyes to get solid darkness, and just a whole bunch of these eyes just popped open. That looked exactly like those eyes there. They just popped open and they were looking at me. I'm like, oh. Okay.
Hey.
Yeah.
You guys gonna build me something?
It was kind of a brief experience. Right? It was just the eyes. It was nothing else. None of the other stuff in that image. But that was a crazy.
What's the fucking point of these guys showing up? You're not gonna make me anything. You're elves. Aren't you supposed to make things? As elves,
are mixing things up.
What the fuck, man? I know elves make all the toys for Santa Claus. Why can't they fucking make some shit for you?
Yeah, but you need to think about the implications of these things fitting the motif of the elves, because it is quite possible, and I'm leaning on this, that a lot of these stories, folklore, myths, are based
on DMT experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we know that they were taking DMT in the Amazon through ayahuasca for millennia. They likely were doing that in Egypt. They had it in ancient Greece, where they had the I forget what they called it, but there was a tradition that they did when they got to a certain age. They took this mysterious substance that we don't know exactly what it was, but they would have this life-altering experience, and they were only allowed to do it once. They did that in ancient Greece, and we know that the farther back in time you go, the more shamanistic cultures you get, where you have people. Or like you have shamans who are like actively doing these psychedelic substances, So I think it is, and you also have the stoned ape theory. So yeah, I think that you need to click transition to make it switch.
Oh, look at that!
And then it switches on the screen. With all of that, I think it's very likely that a lot of our culture, our folklore, our myths, and everything came
from that shit.
Yeah, I think it's us describing things that we've seen, things that might actually exist. I think that's a hypothesis that we need to take seriously and we need to explore it, which I think they're doing. I think there's a university that's opened up some research into extended state DMT. Which would be interesting I think their purpose or their stated purpose is to try to map out the DMT realm, which would be interesting to see if they could make any progress in figuring out what's going on with that stuff, because that blows my mind.
We're just a bunch of monkeys just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing?
How naive is it to assume that the monkey can comprehend the universe?
Right.
It certainly can't.
But we're just gonna keep trying.
Well, I think okay, here's what I think. I think you can, but you can't bring it back.
Oh, so you think you can see it, but you just can't explain it or bring it?
I don't think you can bring it back. I think you forget it almost in the mind. Because I think, because ultimately I think what's going on is that we are all one thing. We are ultimately the universe experience itself. It's all on purpose. It's an act. the concept of duality is an illusion. And so I think you can go out through some of these psychedelics, you can expand your perception and you can see the whole thing in its totality. And then you can come back down into the monkey, and you can't bring it with you. You could bring this kind of overarching understanding of okay, it's all one thing, it's doing this, and here's kind of what's going on. But I don't think you can bring specific details into the structure and how it actually works back, because the monkey can't comprehend that.
Yeah.
I think that's ultimately...
I could agree with that. I think we just struggle all the time with trying to make sense of things, but we're never going to.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I did my experience, I felt like I was underwater the whole time. Mm-hmm. Maybe we are.
Well, we're in air, which is a medium, which is thicker than vacuum.
Right. So
I wonder what the ratio too is. I wonder if you compare the difference between water and air to air and vacuum. I wonder what if you would see that it's similar, or if
true, I know what you're saying.
Is more of a severe difference than air to water.
Maybe I figured it out, man.
That'd be interesting.
Maybe we're actually technically under sort of water.
Well, I mean, we
and are. I figured it out. Man.
No, I think we've known about the atmosphere.
I figured it out. No, I figured it out, man. It was my experience, and we're gonna call that the. I don't want to say my last name, so we're gonna say we're gonna call that the Alex
sphere.
Sphere, essentially, yeah. We can call it the Alex sphere, and that's where we all live. In the Alex sphere.
In the Alex sphere.
All right, you know what I think it's time for?
To end the podcast?
Well, that's gonna happen, but I think it's time for something else.
What's it time for?
Papa John's.
I think it's time for Papa John's, eh?
I think Papa John's is gonna make his way into our
tummies,
into our existence. Maybe it actually doesn't exist. Maybe Papa John's doesn't technically. It's not actually here.
It's really an illusion.
It's an illusion. But I'm good with that illusion. I like that illusion.
Well, I think with that,